Oh, there she is. What the? What was that pathing? Another year, another ASIM game that people say is going to kill Dead by Daylight, and another bout of requests coming up asking me to play this game. So for those of you who don't know, I've actually talked about this before. It was back when the Texas Chainsaw Massacre had dropped, and people were practically begging me to make videos on and play the Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it was gonna kill Dead by Daylight. Oh my god, Dead by Daylight's finally gonna have competition. You don't understand. This is great. It's amazing. And I called out back then that there was just no way that this was going to light a fire under Behavior. And unfortunately, every single time an asymmetrical game comes out, the same exact things start happening. The same exact people start rolling in and telling you that this game is it. This is gonna be the final nail in the coffin. Dead by Daylight is either gonna die or Behavior's finally gonna have some competition, you know, Marvel Rivals to Overwatch style. And I hate to tell you guys this, but it's not. It's simply not. And it's not that I don't want some of these things to come through and to happen. It's not that I don't want Behavior to finally have competition, because competition is, at the end of the day, the driving force behind making better products in the gaming industry. I did not really like Marvel Rivals that much, but Overwatch definitely did improve once Marvel Rivals became popular and became something that was available for players to play. Once a game comes out that is the equivalent of another game that can scratch the exact same itch, that is a driving force for both products to try to be better at what they are doing. And right now, even though I don't play either game, I will say that Marvel Rivals and Overwatch are continuously getting better over time because they're constantly competing with each other, because there is always that threat that the players of one are going to just go to the other one because they play not really the exact same way, but they're both the same exact type of game. I firmly believe that that is good and that is healthy. And I want nothing more than for that to happen to Dead by Daylight. I want nothing more than for Dead by Daylight to have an actual healthy competitor that is going to drive innovation and drive Behavior to stop dicking around like they have been for the past 3 years. I haven't made a video on this yet. I've been thinking about it and I just really haven't gotten around to it. But unfortunately, Behavior has become way too complacent with their success over the past like 2 to 3 years or so. I started playing in one of the best states that the game had ever been in, and very shortly after the 3-gen changes, where you were no longer able to just infinitely hold a 3-gen, I think we entered one of the most balanced states of the entire life cycle of Dead by Daylight. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, Behavior stopped being transparent. They stopped holding promises. They started micro buffing the shit out of one side over and over and over again. They stopped listening to what people were saying. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a change in management or it was a shift in the development cycle. I know a bunch of layoffs happened, but I digress. The point is that Behavior needs competition. It needs something to help drive them to make a better version of Dead by Daylight that can ever be made. And I would love to have 2 different asymmetrical horror games for me to jump between whenever I get bored of one and continue to always have some sort of content coming out for you guys. I know Rapid Main for a while, he did that with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He'd make a video on Dead by Daylight, he'd make a couple videos on TCM, then he'd make a video on Dead by Daylight, then make a couple videos on TCM. However, the reoccurring pattern with every horror asymmetrical game that keeps coming out is that the developers of those games are either, one, not trying to make a big bombastic lightning in a bottle thing like Behavior ended up accidentally doing, which on the surface is a good thing, right? Like, I don't think that you should, as a game developer, like have unnecessary hope that your game is going to explode in popularity. It is incredibly difficult to make a game that explodes and is all over the place and is viral and gets hundreds of thousands of players. That is very, very difficult to do, right? And then even when it does happen, sometimes it's just randomly out of nowhere down the road. Like the Among Us developers, I think their game was like 4 years old or something when it finally like exploded thanks to a bunch of YouTubers and Twitch streamers playing it. I don't remember if that's exactly how old it was, but it wasn't new. It wasn't a new game that released. It just happened to catch on somehow, some kind of way. So you should never go into that. But I think that a lot of developers, by not attempting to make something as good and as it's funny for me to say this because the game is incredibly unpolished, but as polished as Dead by Daylight, you need to be able to understand that you might not succeed at first, but you also need to have the drive to hope for that success. But the second problem is that a lot of these asymmetrical horror games are single licenses. TCM, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Friday the 13th, The Evil Dead, and these single licenses often will hold the game back in terms of new content. One of the things that drives Dead by Daylight is the combination of licensed and original content. They can continue to pump out brand new content over and over and over and over again every 3 months because they have so much available to them. So trying to do these single license gaming franchises is not working because you don't have an infinite well. And I don't think that there is anything equivalent to, like, say, Marvel with Marvel Rivals, where a asymmetrical horror game can come out that is licensed and also has like a near endless supply of stuff to tap into, right? The reason Marvel Rivals is so successful and will continue to be successful for, you know, the foreseeable future is because there is a legitimately like close to infinite amount of Marvel characters. There's a shitload of them, okay? You can pick out some really obscure ones and there will be a fan for that character fucking somewhere. But with horror, there's no one singular license holder that just has a bazillion horror titles and icons that can work in a video game. And unfortunately, what we keep seeing is that people will give their licenses to Behavior and then go, we can make a better game. And then that game fails. They take the license from Behavior, they fall on their fucking face, and then, you know, what ends up happening? We just end up getting fucked at the end of it, and then eventually the license is going to come back. Like, make no mistake, we will eventually get Myers and Pinhead back at some point in the future. It might be a few years, but after both of their games fall flat on their fucking faces, it's going to happen. Although I think the Hellraiser game is supposed to be single player, so I might be talking out of my ass on that one. Don't quote me. The point is that every single time one of these asymmetrical games comes out, these calls for Behavior to finally get competition don't work because none of these game developers are either trying to be competition or they're failing at what needs to happen for it to be proper competition. Now, I will admit that everything within Carnival Hunt that I'm seeing looks interesting. It looks like an interesting game. It's certainly got a lot of polish. It's got good graphics. It looks like a fun time. But I'm not spending money on a game that I might not like for the sake of saying that I played it. Right now, the game is on sale for $17.99. It's very commonly $19.99. That is $20. That is half a tank of gas. That is some groceries. That is a brand new book that I would much rather be reading. That is so many other things that are not a game that I might not like. Now, I will say, and, you know, maybe you guys are going to get mad at me for saying this, I don't know, but if one of my viewers gifted me the game, sure, then I'd be willing to play it, maybe make a video or two on it. Maybe it's a hidden gem a hidden treasure that I don't know. But what I do know is that I said the same thing when Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Killer Clowns from Outer Space came out. I'm not spending money on a game in the hopes that it's going to be the new game that I want to make content on, and in the hopes that it's going to be popular enough for content on that game to continue to thrive as time goes on. I want to see Carnival Hunt succeed. I want to see it become the competition to Dead by Daylight if that's what the developers are going for. But I am not going to sit here and pretend for even a fraction of a second that the possibility is more than like 0.5% that that's going to happen. Unless we could get a solid game development team that's able to pull licenses like Behavior is, I don't know if it's going to happen. And unfortunately, one of the biggest problems in the horror market right now is that a lot of horror license IP holders are very stingent with their licenses. I could see some more independent horror players in the game kind of put their collaborations in. I could see, you know, someone like the guy who owns the Art the Clown license. I could see him doing it. I could see somebody like, you know, the Crypt TV. Is that what that is? The with the look-see in that? I could see those guys doing something like that. I could see like Marble Hornets giving their licenses to a horror game like this. But I mean, is a new game studio going to be able to convince the Jason universe? It took Behavior 10 years to get that license. Are they going to be able to convince the Halloween license holders? I mean, they just pulled Myers from Dead by Daylight despite him being in the game for 9 fucking years, right? Are they going to be able to convince the Texas Chainsaw Massacre holders? I mean, that's going to be a rough one because TCM as a game is failing because the developers were piles of shit. So it's really a question of, will this game both be good enough in its original content to hold up until it can get licenses, and will the game be able to convince license holders to lend their IPs to this game? I don't believe so. So Carnival Hunt looks interesting. I want to try it, but I'm not spending $20 on a game that might be dead in a month. I'm sorry. I just can't put that kind of risk out, not in my current financial state, and that's why I'm not going to be playing Carnival Hunt. But hey, again, if one of my viewers gifts it to me, then sure. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. A great big special thank you to my channel members listed on the screen now. You want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the